Is it in a liquid state? It is. We know that because it's below saturation temperature. So how much subcooling do we have? 10 degrees. How's that look according to our parameters? It looks normal too, doesn't it? So that one looks okay. So when you're doing these things, this is kind of that process of what you'll do. That one looks normal. Nothing to be concerned about there based on the parameters that we have. Okay, let's do another one. Hey, that's the same suction pressure we had before. No, it's a little higher, okay. I think the next one has a 62 again. 69 pounds of suction.
40.
So it's saturated at 40 degrees. We have a suction line temperature of 48 degrees. How much superheat do we have? 8 degrees. How's that looking?
A little low.
It's a little low. What's that telling us?
It's a little low on.
Well, let's think about what is superheat. Superheat is heat added to a vapor. So if it's low,
I mean, it's got too much liquid in there.
that means it's what? It's flood. So we don't have 8 degrees superheat, it's flood. It's below our parameters. Okay, let's go to the high side. We have a 260 pound liquid pressure. Where's it saturated at?
120.
And we have a line temperature of 102 degrees. Do we have subcooling?
No.
No.
What's our saturation temperature?
102.
120.
Yeah, saturation is 120.
Oh.
So our line temperature is below the saturation
Oh, yeah, it
temperature.
is.
I was.
So how much subcooling do we have there?
18.
18 degrees. How's that look?
A little high.
It's a little high. What's that mean? High subcooling means the condenser is what?
Starting.
So if I have high subcooling, that means I've got a lot of refrigerant in there.
Oh, so it's flooded over
It's
there.
flooded. What's wrong with that system?
Too much refrigerant.
Too much refrigerant. Okay, we have a 62 pound suction. Hey, we had that on the first problem. But hey, you can't just check pressure, it's not a tire. You can't just, it's not tire pressure, it's a whole different thing, there's more to it. So, even though it's 62, we're gonna come up with a different problem, very likely. So, well, actually, that one was fine, with that 62. So, we're saturated at what temp?
35.
35 degrees. Let's see what our suction line temperature looks like now. It's 62 degrees. How much superheat do we have?
9.
Well, that's our pressure, that's not a temperature. 62 pounds of pressure.
27.
So we converted that to saturation temperature, it's 35 degrees. So how much superheat do we have?
27.
27. How's that look? We have a high superheat, right?
Super duper.
So if it's high, that meant it boiled too late or too soon?
Too early.
Too early. So if it boiled too early, it's
Starving.
Starving. Okay. See, you just do these over and over, it starts to stick after a while. So, it's starving. Let's go to the high side. We have 243 pounds of liquid pressure.
Yeah, 115.
Saturated at 115 degrees. We have a liquid line temperature of 117 degrees.
So it's 2 degrees.
2 degrees.
subcooling.
Look at it closely. It's saturated at 115 degrees. I have a 117 degree liquid line. I have a negative subcooling. I don't have subcooling. And if I don't have subcooling, that means it's our. What's wrong with that system?
Not enough.
Not enough refrigerant. We'll do some 410A. What's that mean? It means we're just gonna go to a different line on the chart. If you get digital gauges, you press the button until it says 410A on it. We have 118 pounds of suction. Well, that's way higher than we had on R22, Why? Because it's a blend, and you have to add the pressures of the two refrigerants in the blend, so it's gonna increase the pressures. So at 118 degrees of saturation, 118 pounds of suction, what's our saturation temperature at 410A?
40.
40 degrees, and from here on out, it's the same process. And we have a suction line temperature of 45 degrees. How much superheat do we have? 5 degrees. How's that look compared to our parameters?
Not good.
It's not good. It's a low superheat, isn't it? Now, low superheat means it boiled late.
Late.
If it boiled late, it happened because it's flooded. Okay. Let's go to the high side. We have a liquid pressure of 341. At 341 pounds, where's it saturated? 105 degrees. We have a liquid line temperature of 88 degrees. It is below our saturation temperature, so we know that it is a liquid, but how much subcooling is that? 17 degrees. How's that look compared to our parameters? It's a little high, isn't it? Which means a high subcooling means it's flooded. Another 410A. We have 130 pound suction. So on our 14A chart, it's saturated. We know that under 130 pounds of pressure, its boiling point, also known as saturation temperature, is 45 degrees. Let's look at our suction line temperature. It's 60 degrees. How much superheat do we have? 15. What's that telling us?
It's normal.
It looks it's in range, isn't it? Okay, on the high side on liquid, we've got 391.
115.
115, and our our liquid line temp is 105.
10.
10 degrees of subcooling.
Normal.
Good to go.
Good unit, ship it, normal.
All right,
Problem solved.
time to cash the check. Okay, we got 97 pounds of suction pressure. What's our saturation temperature?
30.
30 degrees. What do we know already? What's gonna happen? I mentioned it earlier. If your saturation temperature drops below freezing, your evaporator starts to form ice. We already know we're gonna have a problem with this one, where saturation temperature is below freezing. Nothing else at this point. I mean, it does matter, but we already know that something's wrong. So let's look at our superheat. We have 60 degree, that's not superheat, that's suction line temperature is 60 degrees. How much superheat do we have?
30 degrees.
30 degrees. How's that look? It's starving, isn't it? Okay, let's think about this for a second. We haven't looked at the high side yet. What could cause that coil to starve?
No airflow.
Well, no airflow would cause it to flow, because it's like turning the fire down under the pot.
Meter device could be,
It could be restricted. What else might cause that to stop?
Low refrigerant.
Low refrigerant. So those are the things that are likely to, it's one of the two. They're quite different though, aren't they? But let's look, we don't know until we look at the high side. So let's look at the high side. We have 365 pound liquid pressure. Where's it saturated at?
110.
110 degrees. Let's look at this liquid line. It's 90 degrees. Is it in a liquid state? If it's below the saturation temperature, it's in a liquid state. So we have some subcooling going. How much subcooling do we have? 20 degrees. How's that look?
High.
It's a lot of subcooling. A high subcooling indicates the condenser is loaded.
So it mean probably the metering device is,
We've got restrictions somewhere. Most likely the device. Keep in mind, high subcooling is flood. That means I'm starting to stack a lot of liquid up in there if I get high subcooling. And the condenser. Suction pressure is 107 on 410A.
35.
35 degrees. Well, we know the coil's not gonna freeze right now.
Yeah, it's just about.
Yeah, we're getting a little close. We need to watch that. So our suction line temperature is 40 degrees. How much superheat do we have? 5 degrees. What do we know? It's flooded. That's a low superheat, it's flooded. Let's go to the high side. We've got 365 pounds of liquid pressure.
Around 10.
10, look at the liquid line temperature, and it's 100 degrees. How much subcooling do we have?
10.
10 degrees. What do you think might be going on there? That looks kind of normal, doesn't it? I talked about this briefly. And I said that subcooling might be affected, it might not. But we have a flooded evaporator.
I don't have airflow.
That's typically an airflow problem. So if we saw that on our gauges, we need to start doing some visual inspection of airflow.
Sure, we didn't get air business.
Tearing it up back there. Anyway, so yeah, that's an airflow issue too. We need to look at filters, make sure registers are open, belts are tight, motors running, coils aren't, the evaporator's not dirty, all these types of things. Is what we need to look at in that situation. We have a 142-pound suction.
50 degrees.
Okay. Let's look at our suction line temp, it's 56.
6 degrees,
Slow, so it's
Flooded.
Flooded.
go to the high side. It's 317.
100.
100.
Temperature on the liquid line is 103 degrees. What do we know from that? Do we have any subcooling?
No.
No, we don't, because the liquid line temperature is higher than the saturation temperature. So what's in our liquid line right now? Vapor. So if we don't have any liquid in the liquid line, what do you think's going on in the condenser? Flooded or starving?
That's your start.
Starving. Well, I should have a negative before that 3. I don't know what happened. So it's starving. What do you think might be going on there?
No refrigerant.
If we were low on refrigerant, we'd be starving on both
Oh.
sides. If we're flooded on both sides, we're overcharged with refrigerant. Think about the dam. What's going on here?
The dam's jammed up.
Well, if it were jammed up, what would
Well,
happen to
but
the
it's
outside?
more of the compressor then?
Well, let's think of the dam. If this dam is restricting, what's gonna happen over there? Flood. That's not what we got, is
So it's
it?
overflow.
If it's open too far, that's gonna starve on the backside of the dam, isn't it? And what's gonna happen over here? It's gonna flood. So we've got an overfeeding metering device.
You got a what?
Overfeeding metering device.
Okay,
It's opening too far.
okay.
Or it could be
Can you
the
stuck
wrong
open?
size orifice in there or something.
Can we stuck open?
Can, yeah.
So whenever you got a flooded and starving, you're either gonna have low or high refrigerant, and it's either gonna be a metering device problem.
Well, when you see, those are the most typical things. You guys, I talked a little bit about a dryer last week in the lab, and it's a component, kinda looks like a steel can, a lot of times they're painted or something. And it cleans the refrigerant. You can also get a liquid line dryer that can plug up. And the way you would diagnose that is you would check the temperature on either side of it. There shouldn't be any temperature change across that dryer. If there's temperature change, that means it's restricting the flow. Because if it were just passing through there, it's like,
Should be a
checking
negative
the same
3.
pipe from here to here.
Yeah,
It would be any temperature drop in it. So if you see temperature drop across the dryer, like it's probably stopped up. Now, sometimes if the dryer's stopped up, you might get a metering device plugged up too. So you might change the dryer, say, shoot, metering device plugged up too. Well, okay, that can happen. So. But you don't know if the meter device is plugged up to change the bad dryer. So,
So what, if you replace the dryer, then your temp's gonna be good on both sides of it, and then you get over the meter and device, it's not gonna be right.
yeah, you're still gonna end up with a starving condenser, a flooded evaporator. So those are the two most likely things that will cause restrictions. I mean, is it possible somebody could bend a tubing on a liquid line or something? It's possible. It's starving. We're starving on both sides. What's wrong with it?
Low refrigerant.
That's it. So,